My talk today is going to be a little bit about saving energy on a home, what we can do to lower the cost, low cost, no cost. Also, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about contracting work once we purchase the house, get the house. Once you purchase the house or get the house through auction, through Detroit Land Bank, I would highly suggest you get a home inspection. Okay, don't get Uncle Bob to come on out to do a home inspection and so on and so forth. I am a home inspector. I'm not trying to promote myself here today, but I am a home inspector, certified home inspector, among other things. But I highly recommend you get a home inspection.
Let me add real quick, and you might have heard me say this before, most of the houses being in the auction today have scope of work documents posted to the website. So we'll already have a home inspector has already gone through it and given a range for how much he thinks it's going to cost to rehab.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's relatively new.
Now that's, we've got a pilot program, so we're only going to do 28 houses, and we're actively working on trying to get more money to do all the houses.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, there you go. There's cut down some costs too. Once you get the scope of work, what are we going to do with it? Get a reputable contractor, and there's one little pamphlet handout, especially if you want to go Energy Star Energy. Michigan Saves. There's a line of contractors on there that are Energy Star raters. So once you get a good contractor, I always recommend using Energy Safe projects in a home, from the bulbs to the insulation to appliances and so on and so forth. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I'm really into the energy saving part of it, because I've been in so many different houses where I see their utility bills higher than their mortgage bill. And that doesn't make sense to me, okay? And also you gotta be careful in what you buy. If you see a beautiful house and it has a lot of windows and so on and so forth, that means the higher cost is gonna be as far as energy saving. So you always gotta factor those points in there when you plan on purchasing a house. I'm the kind of a person, I don't go in and it doesn't impress me to see that you got this kind of wallpaper or that kind of tile or that kind of carpeting. I always look for the bones of the house, the structure of the house. I have a good imagination what the house is going to look like after it's been rehabbed, not before. So we have to kind of get away from that idea of, well, the countertops are all this and that. I don't look at that. I always look at it, what's it going to look like after, all right? I've done over 40 houses in the city of Detroit as far as rehabbing them. And a lot of the stuff was historical houses. I love the historical houses. I love the feel of them, the warmth of them, and the character. The new houses, I'm not so much into the new houses. I like the older style houses. But who's to say I can't take an old house from the outside of it and make it feel new on the inside? Now, that lady was talking about earlier about the older houses, what you can do. Most of the stuff was exterior, correct? You can actually take an old house and do a lot of interior work in it and bring it up to your standards, what you want, but still keep the character of the house and the charm of the house. I'm going to touch on some, since I just got a short period of time to speak in, I'm going to touch on some energy saving parts of the house. Now, who would categorize themselves as an energy saver? Anybody? Try?
Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with a 50s house, there's issues with it.
Right, there's always issues with the house. Now, I know Jeff back here, he's a partner of mine. We took a lot of classes together, BPI classes and energy saving classes and so on and so forth. Actually, he was one of my students. But I got some products here I want to share with you today. And this is going to be an interactive. Just ask me questions and so on and so forth, okay? If I can answer, I will be gladly to answer them for you. If I can't, I will get back with you, okay? Now, when I was talking about energy saving homes, making your house more of an energy saving home, okay, there's just some things that we always talk about: low cost, no cost. Things that you might already have in the home that we can use. Or you can purchase at Home Depot, Lowe's, and so on and so forth. Those are stores that you can just go in there and get and keep the cost down low. But most of the stuff I want to talk about today begins with you. It's called occupant behavior. all right? There's 3 key points. Occupant behavior, that's us, correct? The house shall has to do with your windows, your doors, and so on and so forth. And the other one is your appliances in the house, okay? What type of appliances that you have in the house or if you're gonna purchase in the house. I always recommend Energy Star appliances. Read the little, the energy guide on there, long-term versus short-term. Meaning if you got a refrigerator that's $700 and another refrigerator beside it for $600, you might want to compare how much it's going to save you throughout the year. All right, it might be better off to purchase the more expensive refrigerator, and long term is going to pay itself off more than the $600 one. Okay, so definitely when you want to look at Energy Star appliances, the energy guide, that's going to tell you exactly what that appliance is going to cost you throughout the year. Okay, so occupant behavior, like I said, that's us. Sometimes we can be our worst enemy. Now, who in here, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, that will leave the TV on and the TV's watching you instead of you watching the TV? Nobody? I know I've done it a couple of times. Your son? I set the timer on mine. Right. Well, some people like to hear the noise of the TV and that kind of puts them to sleep. You know what I mean? But I set my TV with a timer on it so that the TV will shut itself off. Okay? And again, what type of TV you have, I come in and do a consultation with people and sit down with them and talking to them about energy savings. It's just me and this person in the house, and the TV's running in the background. Well, if you're not watching it, why is it on? Okay? Again, that's sometimes we're our worst enemy. Also go in there to do an energy consultation, and I see a bunch of lights on in a bunch of rooms, and I'm sitting there talking to you, and there's all these lights on. Well, the rule of thumb is this. If you're not in the room longer than 5 minutes, turn the light off, okay? Having items plugged into the wall. How many of you got your cell phones with you today? Cell phones. How many of you have your cell phones with you today? Okay, I have mine, but if I ask you a question, where's your plug at? Is it plugged, your charger, is it plugged in or unplugged? Unplugged? Very good. Because anything that's plugged in, even if it's off, is using electricity. It's called trickle or phantom load. So we want to turn off those, or unplug those items not being used. But I got one better for you. Many of you have probably seen these before. People call them power strips. Okay, this is called the smart strip. The reason why it automatically knows what current is already running through it and is not being used, it shuts itself down. Okay, really, really cool. These are probably around 29 to 30 bucks. But see, the old ones, the old strips, I call them the dumb strips. This is the new one, the smart strip. Okay, so, but you got to know how to use this. You got to read the instructions on this because some of them is running continuous power and some are not. Okay, so you can use them for your computer, your modems, your TV sets, and so on and so forth. But you got to read the instructions that come with them and know how to use it. Now, Home Depot, Lowe's, and so on and so forth. Matter of fact, at the end of this class, I might ask you a question. I may give this one away. Okay? So you might do that. Yeah. Well, how about this? I'll let you choose the item that I have up here, and you can tell me which one you want me to give away. Okay? But I'm going to give you guys a free gift anyway today. Amen? Everybody good with that? All right. But again, read this. Read the instructions on them. The smart strip, people call them cyber power strips or so on and so forth, energy savers. But this is basically, most of them are the same, smart strips. Windows. I mentioned to you a little earlier about windows in a house. This product here is a window kit. It's probably the best one in the market today. This is equivalent to a storm window. Okay? So if you have a window, the bigger the window, of course, the more energy or heat loss you're going to lose, correct? Window values are usually around R1, R2. This adds another layer. It's reusable. Have you guys seen the ones that Home Depot sells with the little taper on it, has a blow dryer and so on and so forth? Okay. They're okay, but it's one use only. Okay? As you see, I'm a little bit challenged up here. I don't have a blow dryer. No hair. But this one here is reusable. It has a 3-step system to it. It's, I'm gonna open this up actually and show you. It's a 3-step system. You can get them, you can't get these at Home Depot or Lowe's, but Ace, True Value, Eco, they have these. It's just a window kit from Tizol. There's a website and everything. TYZ-ALL. The best one, this is one of the best I've seen. You got a track, a retainer, and of course, well, I can show you afterwards. I can actually demonstrate how this goes in. It works almost like a Ziploc bag, basically. Got a track, got a retainer, and you got the window kit itself. And if you notice, it's clear, it's see-through. I've done so many inspections on houses that go up there and knock on the door, and I see people with window kits put up, and they can't even see out of it. And I just kind of like, that's kind of defeating the purpose, don't you think? But this is clear plastic, reusable. It's 4 mil. I'm going to pass this around. You can see how thick this is. It's pretty hard to rip. All right. I'm going to pass this around. And if you want me to demonstrate at the end of this class, I can show you how they go up. Okay. Again, they're reusable. Pass this around.
Well, basically, the strip adheres to the surface.
Yeah, it has an
and the other
adhesive.
one, you press in on top of it with this in between, and it buries this inside the.
Very sticky. And you leave this up. You leave this up around your casing. Then this just ties into it. Again, sandwiches it in between like a Ziploc. Very nice kit. Very nice kit.
Does this change from the sun? Does it turn yellow?
No, I haven't. I had mine in well, 7 years, and it hasn't changed yet.
Wow. Right.
Yeah. But what I do is in the summertime when I want to open up the window again, I take it down, I fold it once and put it between my mattress to keep the wrinkles out of it. Yeah, so for each room, I do it. I label it which window came off of, and then I just fold it once, put it between the mattress, and let it go. And you leave this up, and then you just put these away. Then in the following season, you just put them back up. But see, a lot of people think weatherization is just for the winter time, but weatherization is all year. Okay, it's all year. Just like maintenance in a house. As soon as you buy a house, I don't care if it's a brand new house, maintenance starts right away to keep that house up, okay? And the more times that you get on the maintenance, the cheaper it's gonna be in the long run, especially those drippy faucets and so on and so forth, those leaks in the toilets, you hear them running and you like, I can get to that later. Sometimes it's only a $3 or $4 part that you can do, but it's gonna cost you hundreds of dollars letting that faucet or letting that toilet leak. So maintenance starts immediately.
But why is this so, bad made from the beginning?
Pardon me?
Why is it so poor made from the beginning? That you have
The
to
homes?
start right away with maintenance.
The windows,
Everything, like.
because contractors nowadays, it all depends on who makes the house. If it's I call it cookie cutter house versus a custom home. When it's a custom home, you have better craftsmen in there, and they're doing things above code, not minimum code, okay? But again,
But then the minimum code is too minimum.
But
I would say.
remember when these houses were built in Detroit, most of these houses were built maybe in the 30s. How much was electricity? How much was gas?
they didn't care.
No one even cared about that.
But I think they were better made than the new ones.
Craftsmanship
Oh, yes.
was better, but when it comes to what
Energy,
energy,
you're talking about.
Energy,
No,
no.
No, absolutely not.
I go into homes and they got no insulation in the walls. If they have it in an attic, it's very minimal, or they've got Viculite or asbestos and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Right, that's a whole
But
other
even
topic
now,
there.
Nowadays,
even if you go now to the new construction cookie cutter houses, in my eyes, we are from Germany. I would not buy one of those cookie cutter
Right.
houses for any money in the world because, sorry,
As
those two speaks houses,
Yeah, but when you only got $5, you can only spend
Right,
$5.
Well, again, that's another topic there. That's another topic. We're going off
the
topic.
quality
Right.
in those, because there's only a couple items in the house where you waste your energy. The door, the windows, ceiling,
Right.
where all your money goes out.
Oh,
And otherwise,
again,
unfortunately,
even if you have an energy efficient house, if you have the best energy efficient house, but the person's not energy efficient,
No, you're
you
right.
and I with education. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power only through education and action, correct? So you have to educate yourself in order to make the house more energy efficient. Does that make sense? So again, we have to start somewhere. There's a minimum guideline. We have to start somewhere. The products I'm presenting to you today is just low cost products. Now, of course, we can get into the higher, but that's more money. Okay? So the stuff that I'm saying right now, this stuff I'm showing you is sold in the stores. We can go through and get it and try to start to make your house more energy efficient right away. Okay? Everybody's seen this expanding, great stuff. Everybody gotta be very careful with this stuff. Everybody knows that what happens when you put too much on here. And also, I would, use latex gloves. You gotta use latex gloves with this stuff. You gotta be very, very careful with it because it expands. Sometimes 4 to 5 times what you sprayed in there is gonna expand. So just be very cautious of that. There's a bunch of different types of this. Doll is the maker of this one. They do have one from that's less, it's white and it doesn't expand as much as this one here. All right. Caulking around your windows and so on and so forth. There's 2 different types of caulking here. I got a clear silicone caulk and a rope caulk. I've seen this one, almost looks like putty. Everybody seen this one? Reusable. Okay, then there's, of course, caulking, silicone caulking. And if you don't know what you're doing with this stuff, it can get very, very sticky. It's not reusable once you put it on around the window and so on and so forth. This is pretty much there. But this one here, again, low cost. You can put on, take it off, okay? No toxins in it, okay? Again, getting into these houses, maintaining these houses. There's a lot of different programs out there with different types of insulation in it that we should be aware of. What's the R value? R value means resistance. Value, if you're talking about first floor walls, is usually about an R19. Attics usually start around an R48 to an R55. Basements, an R5 to an R10. It all depends on what you're using. Okay. Has anybody ever insulated before? Cellulose insulation, bat insulation, and so on and so forth. So you gotta be careful. Again, you gotta know what you're talking about. So let's just say you have your house insulated and so on and so forth, but you're feeling a little air gap on the outside of the window, especially around your receptacles, or people call them outlets. This is another little additive that we can use, called them socket sealers. Everybody familiar with these? Pretty simple to put in, but again, a lot of air can be transformed between outside and inside. And well, I got brand new wall side windows. I'm looking at them, okay, and what's that mean? Okay, because sometimes they will put a window in, but the casing around the window, they don't touch. And everybody knows in construction, that's what's called a rough opening. If you take the stops off and pop a window out, they don't insulate that area. So that's where you're feeling the draft come in, okay? So in the wintertime, you gotta be very, very careful when you say, I got brand new windows and so on and so forth. I don't recommend anybody putting their couch or bed close to a window in the wintertime because you're gonna feel that draft coming in there, okay? But these are just little insulators that we can use to seal up that leak around your outlets and sockets and so on. Doors. Here's what we call V-seal. Has anybody seen these before? Reusable. You use this. I see these things like these. Yeah. It's best to put this on in a warmer climate. Around a door, you don't want to put this when it's 20 degrees outside. It won't stick. All right, but usually I put 70 degrees or so you can put one of these on. It's around a door. There's a jamb. Okay. If you see daylight coming in, something's wrong. Correct? Something's wrong. We want to stop the air from coming in, okay? But we also want to stop the heat from inside your house from doing what? Going out. Because we all know this. Heat does what? Heat does what? But also it goes out. It's going to go out to the least resistance, okay? And that's usually your windows and your doors, okay? So anything that's going to help stop that heat from going out, the cold air from going in, and your furnace is going to do what? It's going to come on because it has to recalculate the air that just went out, or replenish the air that just went out, and you want it that furnace is going to come back on, and then you're going to be spending higher costs in heating bills. Does that make sense? So again, air sealing and so on and so forth in your home. Speaking of thermostats, I have one here. This is a programmable thermostat. How many of you guys still got the old dial type or the slide? Everybody's gone to the electronic one or, okay, digital ones? Yeah, but you got to know, again, it's like a calculator. You have to know how to program it. They're really no good to you unless you program it, correct? This one's pretty easy. And again, at the end of the class, I'll see which one you want me to auction off. Give away. Pretty simple to do. Light bulbs, everybody's seen these ones. CFLs, compact fluorescent. I'm turning into the new ones now. I'm going to the LED bulbs. Has everybody start changing their bulbs over to LED? Okay.
Because even though they say all these hours, who do you hand it to when it quits?
Well, I always, what I do now is keep my receipts. Ask the people at Home Depot and so forth, if this bulb fails, can I take it back for a replacement? Okay? Now, they claim the LED bulbs will last 20, 30 years. Okay? Anything man-made will fail. That's how I look at it. It all depends on how it's handled, and also it depends on how it's installed. If it's installed incorrectly, then you might have some issues. So just because it's in a package and it says it might last you a lifetime, but if you got a bad contractor or Uncle Bob, I call him, installing it and he doesn't install it correctly according to the manufacturer, then it can fail. Okay, but I always keep the receipts and I tell them if this bulb fails, can I bring it back or this fixture? Yes, it has happened to me.
And then, what did they say about the number of hours, for instance, because, we wouldn't have it on all the time.
Right.
But they could say, well, you've exceeded those number of hours, so how do I know you didn't have it on?
But you know what, I always look at it like this.
20,000 hours.
Any time that you can go from an incandescent bulb that's burning 100 watts to one of these that's burning 23 watts, the value of saving during that period of time is well worth it. Even if it's not lasting you 10 years, if it lasts you 5, during those 5 years, you save money. You feel what I'm saying? You save that money. And so to me, it's like, I just go get another bulb. All right, I'm not going to sit there.
I've been getting some of these bulbs pretty often.
Right.
Especially.
But also, let me explain this to you. A lot of people don't know fixtures. It's the older fixtures that where they're wired. You can't put these bulbs in any kind of fixture. All right, you got to be careful what type of fixture you put them in. You can't put this type of bulb right here that I have with you today in a dimmer. All right, it has to say dimmable on it. All right, so again, a lack of knowledge. Okay, you got to put them in fixtures that are more up to date, or Energy Star that you just got, instead of an old antique fixture, because the wiring is
I
different.
understand to turn it off on a lot. They're more effective if they stay on.
Right.
If you're in the kitchen where it's going on and off a lot, they're going to lose their.
And again, a lot of the times that when I talk to people and they said these bulbs have failed, I always ask them what kind of fixture you put them in. Well, this fixture is 50, 60 years old. Okay, it might be a knob and tube. Okay, versus now. So it all depends on the fixture.
Who manufactures that? In other words, could I find info on
This
the
particular one?
recommended application of how to use those effectively?
Sure, I can get you some information on this after class. Okay, would that be okay? Night lights. Now I'm going to tell you, in my house right now, I got about 19 of these night lights in my house. These are LED. It costs me maybe $5 a year to run. All right, but putting the night lights in your house, of course, this one has a sensor on it too. When it gets dark, it goes on, it gets light, it goes off. But the reason I use night lights, once I have them on, I can see exactly where I'm going. Especially if you have children in the house. I would start in the bathroom area, okay, and hallways and so on and so forth. They're very inexpensive. Again, this is LED. It will run a long period of time, use a long period of time, okay?
I've run out of clothes, so that's pretty much.
Well, then you might want to.
Just put one on the wall.
Right. Well, back in old school, we used to use the little Christmas.
Yeah.
Those are 5 watts. This one is at 0.04 watts of power that you run with this. It doesn't even register on an electrical meter. It doesn't even register. You know what I mean? So that's why you can put so many in at a very low cost.
And where did you get those?
You can get these at Lowe's, Home Depot, and so on and so forth. They come in different brands, different shapes, and so on and so forth. I'm doing some contracting work now in Canada, and we went to go get some globes for the basement, he had halogen, you know, the 4-inch halogens that will burn you, and we changed them all out to LED. And we went there to get fixtures for his outside. I recommend all LED for his house, and now he loves it because you can also use them with dimmer switches also. Okay. Yeah. Shower heads, grams per minute, GPMs. This one here has a little massage on it, stream, and so on and so forth. But the way these work is just take the existing water that you're already running through your pipes, and it just runs it at a lower flow. But you're going to still get the pressure, but at a lower flow. So you will save some money, just like aerators and so on and so forth. You're still going to maintain the same pressure, but at a lower flow. Okay. Has anybody changed their shower heads?
Okay. I don't know if I have low flow.
Those are typically, I think the low is like 1.5.
This is a 1.5 here.
Those are low. I see
Yeah.
2.5
Yeah.
out there.
There's some 2.5s, 1.5s, and so on and so forth. I like a little bit of pressure, a little bit, you know. Of course, I got no hair to wash. But again, that's the way to go. Again, let's get back into the, that's all the stuff I have here. Yep, that's all the stuff I have. Let's get back into the maintenance of the home, maintaining the home. Water heaters, dialing down on the thermostat on the water heaters. If you put your hand underneath the water heater and it burns you or scalds your hand, you know it's up too high.
Underneath it.
Pardon me?
Where?
If you turn on your hot water in the kitchen and you put your hand underneath it and you remove your hand really quick, it's too hot. Under the water, right. So you want to go downstairs to your water heater and dial it down. A water heater, the highest you can go on a water heater for residential is 160 degrees, all right? And that's hot, that'll scald you, all right? I recommend between 130 to 140 degrees. That's usually between, some of them might say hot and hotter on it, or very hot. I recommend it between warm and hot. It's usually around 140 degrees, okay? Because also you're wearing out your water heater. If it's up too high, you're wearing it out. A water heater should last you 10 years or more. If it lasts you 3 years, there's a couple of things wrong in your house. Usually it might be type of water that's running through your pipes too. With galvanized, it can also mess up your water heater, okay? How many of you guys are dealing with galvanized piping in your home? Dealing with galvanized? Yeah. Well, we know galvanized pipe, say you got a 3/4 inch coming out of your water heater, by the time it gets to your faucet, because it has the rust in it, it might be 1/8 of a hole. All right, then all that contaminants are in it. All right, so you might want to switch it out. I know now everybody's going with PEX pipe. Well, yes and no. Copper is the best. Copper is the best. But it's expensive and people are stealing it, okay? But now I found out code in Windsor, if people, and even in new construction, all the houses that were built with PEX pipe, when they sell it, has to be taken out.
Why?
Because they burst, they break. They're finding that there's some defects in them that they break.
All right, so what's happening between PEX and copper?
Well, there's CPVC. It's almost like a PVC pipe, and it's like a yellowish color, and that's good for hot and cold, and it uses a cement glue on there that you can use. CPVC is still, it's less than copper, a little bit more than PEX, but you pay for the labor part of it as far as when you assemble it. Okay?
Give me, again, PEX versus CPVC percentage-wise.
PEX pipe is cheaper. It's actually faster you use a clamp or a crimper when they do. It's really simple to put together. But they've been finding some issues with them.
Okay, but CPVC, how much more would it cost to?
It all depends on the length. Contractors would say by the length, 10 footers or 8 footers. So it might be $1.
10 foot of PVC.
Might be $1 more.
$1, okay.
So
10% higher.
10%. There you go. Okay. Again, yeah, they've been finding some problems with pipe. Okay. Let's say you purchase a house right now in this weather that we have. Okay, and the furnace has been off for a number of, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Well, we know paint expands and contracts, right? So you move in and you notice cracking in the paint. Once you turn that furnace on and get your house to temperature, room temperature 70 to 80 degrees, there's going to be a lot more cracking. Now, remember the lady earlier was talking with clear core about the lead and so on and so forth. We have to be aware of that because once it starts to crack, it cracks through the layers. Okay, so again, removal safety. All right, because you're going to start seeing a lot of the lead come out once the house warms up and it starts to peel. Have you talked about that?
No, these are all big issues.
But yeah, a lot of people I'm seeing are trying to save. You go in these open houses and you go, oh, there's a furnace already in there. I'm gonna reuse it.
No.
Listen,
You got to be careful with that.
Make sure
I recommend a soft test, what we call soft test from an HVAC person. Again, not Uncle Bob. You want to get a professional in there to do a soft test. What he's basically going to do, he's going to do an analyzation to your furnace. He's going to turn it on, make sure you don't have a cracked heat exchanger, any leaks. He's going to use special CO detector tools to make sure all the fittings are correct on it. You can't just start them up. Again, if you do have a good furnace and want to change those filters out. On a filter, there's something we call MERV. A MERV is a rating on your filter. Some manufacturers of furnaces say, I don't have to change my furnace filter for every three months, or I haven't changed mine in a year, and so on and so forth. Well, when you take a Healthy Homes course, it tells you, again, the quality of the furnace filter. The MERV 8, I like to say, is the minimum standard. They got one like a 4. MERV 8 is the one I will go for, or higher. It's a little bit more, but again, you're going to catch the dust mites and so on and so forth, pollen, which is going to help, especially if you're asthmatic. You want to get a higher furnace filter. And again, if you go with a high efficiency furnace, again, you not have to change those for a year. Just wash them up, put them back in. Okay. Any questions? I got
the vents. Like you have an old house that's been abandoned.
air ducts.
How do you clean those out or?
Get a professional.
sanitize.
Yeah. You want to get a professional person to come in there because you don't know who lived in that house before you. They could have had dogs and so on and so forth. You want to get them cleaned. The duct cleaning.
And how do they do that?
They blast air in it.
They blast air into it.
Blast?
Yeah. They basically depressurize your system. It's almost like a huge shot vac, and they want to suck it out.
Yeah.
Okay? If you see a guy pulling up with a shot vac, a small shot, that's not the one for you. Usually they have a big truck to come in there and take it out. But you remember, you want to depressurize, not pressurize. All right? Because that can cause another problem. Okay? I recommend that. All depends on how much carpet you got in your home too. I don't like carpet. When you deal with carpet, you're dealing with a lot of other problems, especially if you want to keep a healthy home. Every 2 to 3 years, I recommend them coming in. You ever notice when you turn on a furnace for the very first time what you smell? Well, I don't want to get into that, but it's not very healthy for you. Okay. Any other questions?
I think I have negative air balance in the home, so I'm pulling cold air in to run the furnace.
See, an HVAC person can tell you how to balance out your house. Yeah, but that's a big issue. That's a big issue. Any other questions? I can talk to you about that too. You guys get a little bit out of this? A little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.